Alright, so my most anticipated film of the year, Scream 6, has been out for about a week now. I got to see it last night. I've had a little over 12 hours to think about the movie, and now I am going to give you my thoughts here. But before I do, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below. What did you guys think of Scream 6? I hear people are loving it, or people are really liking it up until the third act. Tell me all your thoughts down below and more. Also, this is a spoiler review. It's been out for a week now. If you want to see the movie, go out and see it. I need to talk spoilers for this, and I don't really have any room on my schedule to do two separate videos, so there will be a spoiler review right here. So go ahead and go watch the movie, then come back here if you haven't seen it already. And with that said, we are going to get started with this review. And obviously, we need to get started talking about the positives first and foremost, the positives of this movie. And there is quite a bit here, because if we're being honest, this is basically just another very solid Scream movie, a very solid addition into this franchise. In fact, in the entire 6 movies of this franchise, there's only one movie I don't think is very good. Every single one of these movies I think are either very good to great. And this one is a very good one. This is not a great movie. I definitely have so many flaws with it. I do think that this one is very good, though. And so kicking off talking about my positives of this movie, first off, I gotta go with this cast here. And if you click on a review, most likely you'll see that we don't need the original characters. We just like this new group of characters just as much as the original. And that is true. I 100% like this new cast as such as the original. You sit back and you think, we look at Scream 5, and Scream 5, Sidney was barely in it. Gale was kind of just an afterthought. Dewey was the only real character that really had some weight. Really had something to do that movie. And so, heading back to this one, we don't really need Sidney. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, we need Sidney. No, I don't really feel like we needed Sidney in this film at all. She wouldn't have really enhanced the experience. In fact, she would have taken it away from the characters I really like. The twins are characters I really like. The Sam and Tara, I really like them. Everyone has performed really well. And even the new characters that you know are going to get killed off, they were good enough. And a couple of them you didn't even want to see die. That you felt the emotions when they died. You felt that. And so this new cast here, I can totally see them carrying a 7th film, an 8th film, so many other films, because they were just so good in this film. Another pretty big positive here is Ghostface himself. I really enjoyed Ghostface and how he killed people. They were creative, but the Ghostface reveals were also very good. I heard people saying, oh, they're too predictable, and also a lot of people got spoiled online. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I blocked Scream 6. I did not get spoiled online of this movie, so I couldn't guess it. But I was sitting in the theater, and I was guessing it, but I couldn't figure out a motive for why they were doing it. And then I sat back, and was like, huh, that's actually a very smart motive, and the little twist kind of got me. Actually, a couple characters that you think were dead turned out to be the killers. Like her, right on screen. You just saw her. She turned out to be one of the killers, and it really tricked me. I really think that aspect really worked about this movie, was a twist. And I liked it even more how it's not another twist in this franchise where, oh, we just want to make another good stab movie. That one was way overdone for me. I liked it in Scream 5. I think it was good enough in Scream 3, I believe that's the one that he was, no, not that one. It was done a couple times, and I just got over it, so I was glad that they have a better premise, and we'll talk more about that when we get into the negatives, because a lot of these I liked for the most part, but then over time I sat back thinking that, like, okay, did that really work, or was that just, like, copying from another movie? Kind of, I don't really know, but for the most part, I liked the Ghostface reveals. I enjoyed that enough, and the kills here, they weren't nothing real creative. In fact, people are saying this is the most brutal movie. People are saying that haven't seen Scream 4. I was expecting Scream 4 times 10. I didn't really get that. Sure, we got modern makeup effects, but there wasn't many real creative kills. Sure, Ghostface had a shotgun in one part, but that's about it. That's the only creative kills that we really got in this entire movie. Which, you think about it, that's okay. You don't really need to get creative with your kills if the same stabbing technique works. I don't really need to see Ghostface running around with a shotgun being overpowered, because the trick about Ghostface is he isn't like a mortal, like Michael or Freddy or Jason. He's a human being that has a knife and can easily get knocked around. That's what I think really works about this movie, is that it doesn't really try to go for anything special. And sitting back on my ride home, I was talking to my brother who went with me, and we both sat down and were like, yeah, but it's kind of reminiscent of Scream 2 in a way. But if you got something that works, why wouldn't you keep doing the same thing that works? And sure, it's going to be a bit in the negative how it kind of copies Scream 2, but it works here. It's a perfect kind of example of copy what you know works. And sure, it's not really creative in that way, but it's effective and enjoyable and enhanced by these characters. And plus, another positive here is, it's just another Scream movie. I'm a big fan of the slasher genre. You get a killer in there, you get kills in the middle, then your movie's instantly going to be solid. And this movie was instantly solid. I definitely enjoyed watching this movie in the theater. It's the most fun I've had with a movie that was released all year. This is my favorite movie of the year so far. It's another very solid addition in the Scream franchise, and it works just in the Scream franchise. The reveals work. Everything, or almost everything about it, works as a Scream film. It goes through the motions, and it does it very, very well and effective. Thing is, there is quite a few negatives here, so we're going to get into them now. And the first one is, this is turning into a Marvel movie. And if you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. No one dies. A lot of people get stabbed. You're like, oh no, I don't want them to die. And then they're just brought back to life in the end. Like, wow. Wow, is that really what we're doing now? It's turning into the MCU? Okay, and, like, sitting back on the ride home, I'm like, okay, so we only got, like, 2 deaths in the entire movie. 2 real deaths. We got the therapist, we got the guy in the store, and we got the chick in the beginning. And then you sit back and you're like, oh yeah, we got that one chick who fell off the roof. And then you sit back and you're like, well, even a couple people who died turned out to be the killers. And so you're like, no one really died. You think both of the twins died? Nope, in the end, it just comes out they're alive. You think Kirby dies? Nope, she's alive. And so it's just like, people just constantly get stabbed, but it's like, they're not dying, and so it doesn't really feel like this movie has any weight. At first, when I see people dying, I was like, that's great, actually. Anyone could die in a franchise. Nope, they're still alive. Okay, okay, that's cool, I guess. And it just definitely was a big negative that definitely affected my enjoyment of this film. Now, not to say that I didn't not want them to die. I was sitting down and I was like, oh, wow, I really like these characters, and I like that they survived. But just you sit back and you're like, okay, now we know that now we know that they're pretty much invincible now. Like, this man took 7 stabs in the stomach and chest, and he's still alive. It's just that stuff that really affects this movie in that way. A couple more ones here. This movie's set in New York, but it doesn't really utilize that. In fact, this kind of ties into my next negative, that it's a college. It's basically set at college, just like Scream 2. Instead of using the big city aspect, it doesn't really work all that well. Nothing that they did really was solid enough to make it feel like a big city movie. I sat back and I was like, yeah, sure, the bodega scene was cool. The subway scene was cool. But besides that, there's not really much that really tells us that we're in the city. Nothing much that really utilizes the city. And so that was also kind of a negative. Again, that's not really one that adheres to my enjoyment. I don't really think that I'd feel any less entertained by this movie if it had more New York stuff. It's just something that it was a missed opportunity to. But the big negative here, and it's not really a negative, it's more like a mixed aspect, because like I said, if you do it right, you do it right. This is basically Scream 2, but it's now Scream 6 with the new characters. It's set at college. The killers are family of the previous one who are looking to get their revenge. It literally has the exact same premise of Scream 2. And I sat back, I was like, that's taken from Scream 2. That's taken from Scream 2. That's taken from Scream 2. And on my ranking, this was ahead of Scream 2. But the more I thought about it, I had to put it behind Scream 2 because that one did it first. And this clearly takes so much from that movie to where it barely feels like an original movie. It's like going to this aspect now. The aspect of we're just going to do the same thing over and over again. And it tries to be original. It tries to set itself in New York, but it really doesn't use New York to its advantage. So it's basically just another Scream movie. Like I said, though, if you have a Scream movie, you do the Scream movies right. I'm going to enjoy this one. And I did enjoy it. I love the characters. The kills were fun. It's a fun little movie to just sit in the theater and watch. Definitely weaker in this franchise, but if you do something and you do something right, of course I will enjoy it, and it was done right. It didn't really have anything negative that really made me mad, just a couple negatives that needed to be talked about. It was another enjoyable slasher in this franchise. You thought we were done? No, we're not. There is a couple things that I gotta talk about that I was still just a little mixed on. Kirby in this film, I do think that she worked as a character. I liked her character in Scream 4, and her coming back as an FBI agent. At first, I was like, that's kind of predictable, but it did work out for me. I did think that worked out for me. And like I said earlier, Sydney in this franchise, she doesn't really need to be a part of it anymore. She'd just probably take away from these characters that I really enjoyed in this film. But the big other thing we need to talk about is there room for a Scream 7? Should they make another Scream movie? My answer is heck no. Do not make another Scream movie. Please do not make another Scream movie. It's getting so, what's the word I'm looking for? Repetitive here. That you just come in and you're kind of running out of fresh ideas. I mean, this one has the exact same premise as Scream 2. And then I sit back and I'm like, we don't need another one. We really do not need another Scream movie. If they do, you need to find a way to pull something out of your sleeve that's fresh and unique. In the trailer, I sat back and I was like, this is fresh and unique. This really works as a film. And sitting back, after the film, I was like, that was just like another Scream movie. And like I said, another Scream movie's fine. This is one of my favorite franchises. But just don't make another Scream movie. We don't need another Scream 7. If you do, I will be extremely nervous for that movie. But, yep, that was my review. Alright, so before I give you my final score, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below. What did you guys think of Scream 6, Ghostface in New York? I'm officially calling that now. That is a good title for this movie. But, also stay tuned. In a couple days, I will have a ranking of the Scream films. Also, on my second channel, I'm going to have a ranking of the Rocky antagonists and the Scream villains in this franchise, and so I have a lot of videos coming up there. Also, I lied to you guys. I'm not going to do my review of the 2022 football season. I am going to do that in shorts. I'm going to do each division as its own short. That video is coming up. I also have another video, which is, I do plan on talking about the Oscars. The Oscars are something we need to talk about. But anyways, yep, that was my review for Scream 6. Let's get into the final score. Alright, so this movie is another solid addition to the franchise with great characters, pretty decent kills, and just an enjoyable story structure that makes me enjoy it. But a couple big negatives really did notch this one down as one of my least favorite Scream movies. Even though I did enjoy this one, it's still one of the weaker movies in this franchise, but it's still good, and it's still worth a good time. And that's why for Scream 6, I am going to give it a B+. Alright, so that was my review. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below. Again, what did you guys think of Scream 6? And also, stay tuned for all those videos. I'm very excited to bring them to you guys. And thank you for clicking on this video. With that said, subscribe, join the Nerd Army. Peace out.